One of your mantras is, if you want to look like an athlete, train like an athlete. The idea that maybe people should be doing, 50% resistance training and 50% cardio. Maybe it's 70-30, maybe it's 30-70.
If you want to see the benefits of both, that's probably the effective dose for strength training and the effective dose for conditioning.
It's probably one of the biggest debates on how much is enough in terms of the gym and what the dosage is and how much should I be doing, how many days a week, how long each session should be. And I figured this video would really sum it up in a very brief way and get people to understand a bit more how long should you be in the gym for. If you're new to the channel, my name is Laith and I have been coaching people for the past 2 decades in strength and conditioning and longevity. Let's watch the video and see what they are talking about and what they recommend in terms of the minimum dosage.
One of your mantras is, if you want to look like an athlete, train like an athlete. And I think that's something really special that sets aside what you do from what a lot of other very well qualified people do. And in terms of the use of weights and resistance, whether or not it's body weight or weights in the gym or pulleys versus cardio, in terms of overall health, aesthetics, and athleticism, is there a way that you could point to, the idea that maybe people should be doing, 50% resistance training and 50% cardio? Maybe it's 70-30, maybe it's 30-70. And here I'm talking about the typical person who would like to maintain or maybe even add some muscle mass, probably in particular areas for most people, as opposed to just overall mass, although we'll talk about that later. And people who want to maintain a relatively low body fat percentage and be in good cardiovascular health. What's the sort of contour of a basic program that anybody could think about as a starting place?
I think it's like a 60-40 split, which would be leaning towards weight training, strength and then the conditioning aspect be about 40%. So if you look at it over the course of a training week, 5 days in a gym would be a great task. And obviously not in the gym, it could be done at home, but 3 days strength training, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, conditioning Tuesday, Thursday, 2 days. It's a pretty easy roundabout way to split that up. Of course, depending upon training goals and, as you said, the aesthetic goals, like that will shift dramatically. But
so this is one of the ways I usually split for most of my clients when it comes to general health and wellness and longevity and better quality of life, is where you split 3 days that are strength training and you do full body 3 days a week, and then you put in there a couple of days of cardio work, which is the bare minimum in terms of the minimum dosage that somebody would need to see any improvement and maintain any muscle mass and cardiovascular health that they had.
If you want to see the benefits of both, that's probably the effective dose for strength training and the effective dose for conditioning at the bare minimum level. Again, being a much better performer conditioning-wise, you're going to want to do more than that.
And in terms of the duration of those workouts, what's your suggestion? I've been weight training for about 30 years, running for about 30 years, and mainly for health, and have found that if I work hard in the gym or at resistance training for more than 60 minutes or so, it's very hard for me to recover. I start getting colds. I start getting weaker from workout to workout. But amazingly, at least to me, if I keep those workouts to about 10 minutes of warm up and 50 minutes or so of really hard work for resistance training, and I keep the cardiovascular work to about 30 to 45 minutes, I feel great. And I seem to make some progress, at least someplace in the workout from workout to workout.
So this is one of the things I notice a lot at the gym, that people are there for a few hours, sometimes twice a day in the morning and the evenings. And the reality is more is not necessarily better. And the quality that you can get in about 45 minutes to an hour in terms of strength training is probably the peak of what your gains will happen. And anything beyond there is diminishing returns. So the added value starts to diminish rapidly beyond that hour. Again, exceptions to the rules are elite athletes and so on and so forth. But in terms of general health, you shouldn't be in the gym more than an hour, give or take.
Those are good numbers, because those are kind of numbers that we usually preach. We try to keep our workouts to an hour or less, if possible. Now, depending upon the split that you're following, if you're on a total body split, there's just going to be more that has to be done in a given amount of time. And again, if you're training primarily for strength, that could prolong the workout because of longer rest times in between sets. But in general, when you're not focused on that one aspect, but the overall health picture, then you can get the job done in under an hour. And again, I always say, on top of if you want to look like an athlete, train like an athlete, is you can either train long or you can train hard, but you can't do both. And I really believe that the focus for me, I have a busy life. I have a lot of other things that I do, believe it or not. And it's like, I want to go hard and I want to go get out. And I find that my body also responds to that. And I think a lot of guys' bodies respond to that. And particularly as you start to get older, I think it's the length of the workout that actually causes more problems than the intensity of what you're doing. Particularly if you're warmed up properly, like you said. I've found personally that my warm-up has had to become more of an integral part of my workout than it ever has before. I could get in the gym when I was 20 and I'm going right over, I'm doing the 1 set, 2 sets, I'm in, and I'm ready to go, and I never do another workout, warm-up.
Yeah, this is something I've noticed as well as I've gotten older, that the warm-ups really does dictate how well the workouts go. And sometimes when you're pushed for time, the warm-ups are the ones that you sacrifice. And as you get older, about 40, then that shouldn't be the case. You should be focusing on that to avoid injuries. And a lot of the times, if I don't warm up properly, I do feel the impact on the next day or the day after that.
Set for any of the other exercise I do the rest of the day. That's not true anymore. And I found that as long as I'm willing to sort of give myself a little bit of a warm up, the intensity is not what bothers me. I'm very much in control of the weights that I use, and it doesn't bother me. But if I start to go pretty long, I start to feel achy or I start to have problems. So again, depending upon age, that also plays a factor in the length. But again, I think everybody can achieve on a standard program, can achieve the results that they want within an hour.